Hello, welcome to Tya Talk.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are.
I am here with Tya lead coach reporting from the trail,
Yes,
Stacy. How are you? Where are you?
I am in Stevenson, Washington, which is outside of the Columbia Gorge. So
So I
it's
have to say, it seems you're hiking all the way from Southern California to Canada.
what my husband is.
Wow.
We did spend some trail time yesterday, which was lovely.
Yeah. So it seemed like it took forever to get through California, and I understand how big California is, but still, it seems like it just took forever. And then all of a sudden, you were in Oregon for like a minute,
Yep,
and now you're in Washington.
yep,
So
yeah. Washington's a mere like 500 miles. It's minimal. And yes,
yeah.
California went on forever. And at 4 months of California, we heard other hikers too had done it, and some do it in three. The fast ones do it in two. Another woman, her husband, same kind of situation where she's supporting him. Took them 5 months. So,
Wow. So you hiked through California, or your husband did, and you somewhat hiked through. You
yeah,
hiked, drove, and you hiked, drove, and camped, right?
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much the support vehicle. So I'll pick a spot that's about an hour from his end point or his start point, and then I end up literally driving that same section of road back and forth and back and forth. So I get very familiar with these cute little towns. Stevenson's gorgeous. It's got a beautiful view of the gorge. Oregon's right over there. Portland's, I think, like 45 minutes from here,
Yeah.
which I haven't ventured into 'cause I really don't have a need. But it's lovely. Like great Mexican food, good coffee shop. Can't complain.
Wow.
Oh, my
That was
boxes.
something when I lived in the Pacific Northwest, I did not experience good Mexican food there at all,
Oh,
or barbecue. Those are Southern things typically, or Southern California things for Mexican food. We have the best Mexican food in the world, of course, in Southern California.
yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
But Washington State is just a beautiful, beautiful place, and Oregon is too. It's and you timed it perfectly because this is the time of year to be up there.
Yeah. The leaves are just starting to fall off the sycamores and the other deciduous trees that drop their leaves. And it's you can feel it in the morning. You can feel that little briskness. And so,
Yeah,
oh yeah, we're just starting to turn the corner.
well, I'm getting the itch to experience seasons again, and I'm
Ah,
missing fall. I miss two things. I miss fall. I love fall. It's my favorite season. We don't have fall in the
no.
desert, of course. We
Uh-uh.
have summer, and oh my God, we're on fire is our seasons. Um, so I miss that brisk fall,
Yeah.
and I miss thunderstorms. My
Yeah.
whole life I've had thunderstorms, and it's interesting because when I moved, I always just assumed every place had thunderstorms. And I knew that in Florida we were the lightning capital of the world, and there was a
Oh
lot
God, yeah.
there. Yeah, but I didn't know that the West Coast you really don't have them at all. They're very minimal.
No, I think more up here, in the Pacific Northwest. Uh,
Actually, I think there was I can't remember really any in Seattle when
oh,
I lived
really?
there. Yeah, I've had a couple more down here than I had up there. They really don't up there. The weather, the reason Seattle is interesting is because the climate there is this interesting vortex where it never gets terribly hot and it never gets terribly cold, but it is always that gray
Yeah.
overcast. But this time of year, it's like San Diego for about 6 weeks.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
just perfect weather, 80s and sunny every day, and just beautiful for about a 6 to 8 week period, and that's it. And then you go back to gray and drizzly
Again,
almost all the time.
we'll
Yeah,
hopefully get an opportunity to see a little bit of that part of Seattle before we head farther out.
yeah. Definitely. If you get a chance, go to those the restaurants that I sent you in Seattle.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So this isn't trail talk though. This is Taya talk. So I guess we'll get into the Taya topics. Uh,
Travel
our
talk.
topic of the day, we're trying to have at least a general topic of the day, so we're not just on chatting about Taya in general. So we
Right.
actually make this a teaching experience. Is getting ahead of your practice upon waking, because what happens is I do believe that there are times that we get sucked back into the matrix while we sleep,
Mm,
because I do believe that in our sleep we disconnect from physical, but our physical being is subject to our default vibration. That's why we wake up in the middle of the night anxious, or we wake up in the middle of the night and we're having dreams that are a reflection of our actual vibration, which is good. That's good information to wake up and realize, gosh, I'm not where I think I am or I thought I was on the
Right.
spiral in general. If this stuff is coming up in my sleep, that means it's always there anyway, and I'm just choosing to ignore it. So we wake up in the morning, and then the thought train starts sometimes before we're alert enough to get ahead of it. What do we do?
Good question. Because that happened to me this morning. So we're, about 4 weeks to the end of our trip now. And we've been on the road for so long, it's become commonplace for me to get up, have a certain routine, know I'm moving in a certain place at a certain time. It's very slow. It's very methodical. I'm not doing a ton of work. I'm not, online a bunch. And I woke up this morning and the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, I'm so bored. Interesting. Boredom. I always think boredom's kind of a cop out. Right? It's like idle hands are with the devil's hands or something. I remember there was some really weird saying.
Well, you're not stimulated, but you've maybe gotten a little. You're taking for granted what you've manifested there.
Yeah, I don't know. That was interesting because I think I'd seen something else that was also, where were you? What you're doing today is what you wanted 5 years ago. I'm like, well, yeah, dead on. But it made me pause. And of course, I'm always the curious one and ask myself some questions. Well, what are you bored of? And why would you choose bored? Bored for me more than ever goes back to when I was a kid. Kids always say that, oh, I'm so bored, right? So kids will often fall into that. I'm bored. So it basically came down to me looking at my childhood, my child self wanting more exploration. Here I am in this tidy little RV park. It's very cute. All my amenities are right there. But no, really, I want to be out on the trail more. So today we're going to go explore and find a waterfall.
Nice.
But, yeah, just taking some time to appreciate what was happening for me this morning. Waking up safe, secure, having all my basic needs met. And then going, there was a guy playing a guitar live on Instagram. And so I turned him on and just kind of sat there, meditated a little. It was lovely.
I have this practice of usually I will wake up and I will find 3 to 5 things to appreciate right off the bat. And I have these, we installed these automatic blinds in the house now, and I have them set to go up at sunup.
Wow.
And usually the sound, if I'm not already awake, the sound of the motor of the blinds going up in the bedroom wake me up. Well, this morning they didn't wake me up, and I slept in.
Oh, wow.
And so I get up, I sit up in bed, and I look outside, and we're in the heat of summer right now in Palm Springs. We can't do landscaping right now because it's just so hot. If you plant something new, the heat's just going to kill it. So we have to live with the old landscaping right now. And the funniest thing is that there are these, you can tell me what they are. I think they're bird of paradise, and they're huge outside my window, and the leaves burn. They don't look great. The flower is beautiful, but the plant doesn't look great. And I can't wait to rip them out and put something else in that looks good all the time, because it's just all these dead brown leaves, right? Well, it's funny because I woke up this morning and I was like, oh, I slept in. The blinds didn't wake me up. I'm already up. And I looked around. I looked outside, and I immediately became aware that I can choose to look at those plants,
right,
and focus on the fact that we still have the dead plants outside. They're not dead. They're just they're burnt leaves.
Yeah.
Or I can be in appreciation of this beautiful house that I live in. That was my first thought this morning. Mm-hmm. Literally my first thought. I get to choose right now whether I want to, complain to myself about something trivial that isn't done yet, or look around and say, gosh, I'm so fortunate that I manifested living in this beautiful home.
Heck yeah.
I made the choice to appreciate the beautiful home. Let's see. Do I want to be negative in a crappy mood and not appreciating things today? I never answer yes to that. So, but it was just an interesting awareness that early, having slept later than usual, and obviously I needed the rest if I did. that general awareness right away of I get to choose right now whether I want to focus on what's wrong or I want to focus on what's wonderful. And if I actually did a list, I don't think I've ever done this, but if I actually did a column list of everything that's positive and everything that's negative in my life, the positive would far outweigh the negative.
Yeah.
And I think if you took an honest look at the world, you could do the same thing about the world.
Oh yeah.
But if your only view of the world is social media and the news, it might be easier because I see people on social media all the time. The world is horrible. It's terrible. What an awful place. I can't wait to transition. I can't wait to go back to my complete. I hear that, especially in spiritual circles. Sometimes I'll hear, this is my last lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this again. I'm not coming back to physical again. I'm going to go to a non-physical and just be in a static state of non-physical. And I understand where that's coming from, but it's a focus on the handful of things that are wrong in the world because that's what's fed to us in the Matrix, as
Yeah.
opposed to all of the things that are wonderful, including just waking up and drawing a breath and having an opportunity to have another day in physical.
Definitely. Well, and knowing that, everything goes through cycles. Nature goes through cycles. Those plants outside your window, they go through cycles because of the different varying temperatures, water, lack of water. We go through cycles as well. As you're saying, we cycle into semi-consciousness. When we go to sleep, our brain becomes active. It has an opportunity to dump everything that we've accumulated during the day, the stimuli, and source can return.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is that strange twilight space, though, when you're just about to wake up. And if you haven't really connected with source, your mind is still downloading, or what is that when you hit the button to delete the cookies? It's the same kind of thing, right? The cookie cache is not totally deleted, then you're still going to get that kind of wake up. Oh, I should be.
Yeah.
What happened to? Oh my God, I didn't do this or that or the other thing. Pardon me, outside. So a little traffic.
Yeah, so we've got vibrational flow happening, and so there are days that you're going to wake up in a different vibrational space, but how you respond to that
Yes.
is completely within your grasp. And what I'm showing myself now is that even if I wake up in pain, I have back pain sometimes. If I wake up in pain, I can still find appreciation for the pain and have that be my experience, as opposed to, oh, woe is me, my back is hurting, I need to it's amazing how we get to choose. And I do believe the practice gives us the tools to be able to do that. I think that there's vibrational work and clearing work that we do that gets us to the space where we're able to do that. It takes a little time to unravel or unwind that lifetime of matrix that we're supposed to demonize and criticize and be the victim and look outside and look at what's wrong that needs to be fixed. And I've always been a fixer. I've always been someone who wants to solve things. Always, always, always. But I can solve things in the appreciation of the expansion of the solving, or I can solve things because I think there's something wrong that needs to be fixed. And I have come to understand that it's not a negative thing to want to solve things. We're expansive beings, and that desire to solve leads us to expansion. We become a more sophisticated version of ourselves because we do want more, and we want to solve, and we want to feel better. We want to have more joy. We want to, whatever it is, be at peace with, everything that's happened in our lives.
Right.
That be our experience. Or we can really get bogged down in what's wrong that needs to be fixed and the wrongness of it. And I think that holds us in that space.
Yeah. I love what you're saying about the Tya practice, because it really does give you the keys to move forward. But it's all inside work first. It's not you're going to dramatically change your viewpoint on your external world overnight just because you start thinking that things are, just start appreciating a few things. Oh, I'm good. It's all wonderful. Well, that's, New Age Nancy just glossing it over. you have to do the internal work
Wait,
first.
wait. New Age Nancy? I don't think I've ever heard of New Age Nancy. Tell us
Well, I
about.
guess I just made it up.
Yeah, I was going to say that's really cool. Who? I think we all know who New Age Nancy is. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah. I mean,
bypasser, right?
yeah. That everything's wonderful. I'll just send it love. It'll be good. Just focus on the positive all the time, which is glossing it over at spiritual bypassing.
Yeah, New
But
Age Nancy. I have to write that down. So funny.
so it's for me, even in the beginning too, before, five odd years ago when I started Tya, that it really is an inside job. I had to learn to appreciate me, my journey, why I choose the things I do. What is good about this physical body, physical appearance? What is good about, intrinsically good about myself? The things that I like, the things that make me happy to be me, to love who I am. That makes everything outside so easily more translatable. You can take that inner love and actually see, oh, I $4 cup of coffee this morning. I can make a better cup of coffee. I know I can make a better latte. But I was really appreciated that this came with Wi-Fi. So I'm like, okay, I'll drink this. It's good coffee. It's not great coffee. I
But
make
you know what? The Wi-Fi is really good.
Wi-Fi is awesome. Look, I can actually talk to people today. So I can, again, you get to choose great Wi-Fi, not so great coffee.
Yeah.
Where do you want to put your focus? And I think that gives people so much power that they don't even realize they have. It gives you power back to start to manipulate your world. Your perception manipulates your direct world. Like energy attracts like we talk about all the time.
Yes.
So if we sit around and bitch about things, my husband, who's been hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, right? He runs into hikers that are really elated and happy, and he runs into the ones that just like to complain. And he made a choice way back when he had a significant injury, that if he wasn't enjoying the trail, it was time for him to come off the trail. And he's made a very conscious choice that even in the hard times, like yesterday, we walked up a 3,000-foot elevation gain in less than 3 miles.
Wow.
It's an ass kicker.
Yeah.
So he had a full pack, 3 days worth of food, extra water, because there's 13 miles until the next water source. And he said, I can make a choice here. I can look at the surrounding beauty. I can enjoy the fact that I can actually walk up this hill carrying this pack, that I have yummy food in the back to eat, and that I have water to drink, and I can smile. Because he kept smiling, and I'm like, why are you so happy? Because the other hikers are, up the hill. It's really interesting. So you have a choice. You can trudge up the hill, bitch and moan. And he and I were talking about how misery loves company. And that, again, that misery, that down the spiral vibe sucks you right back into the matrix. It sucks you right back into perhaps where you don't really want to be in the first place.
I love that because it's interesting that you said there are people on the trail complaining, because you're really choosing to be on the trail.
Yeah.
It'd be so much easier to just not be on the trail, but you're out there, and then suddenly you're slipping back into this negative space. That, again, it's the matrix. That underlying vibration of this should not be.
Yeah.
I should not be experiencing this. This should not be.
Mm-hmm. This should be another way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I've come up against that myself. I wanted to be on the trail more. Too much heat. Dog can't handle it. Happy birthday, cowboy. Today he's 2. But yeah, I had to make a choice. Am I going to enjoy this trip? Am I going to enjoy what I get to experience while I'm out and about exploring? Thanks, Cheryl. I am the explorer. almost like Dora the Explorer, except for my name is Stacy. And yeah, I had to choose. Even this morning, am I going to choose being bored, um, or am I going to choose something fun? So waterfalls it is today. And also, what I was talking to Carrie about not too long ago, I don't know, I chatted with you or not about this, David, was the whole idea of purpose. We have to have a grand purpose in life. What's my purpose? A lot of spiritual circles and people get very caught up in the purpose. I have to know my purpose, my passion, so I can be successful in life. Well, I'm sorry, that's matrix thinking as well, in my opinion. Really, the purpose of life is to get out of bed, is to appreciate the things around you, is to enjoy whatever you create in that day. There's nothing bigger. My soul is like, why do you keep searching for this grand purpose? Your existence is the purpose. You're being human and having an expansive experience, whatever that looks like in the moment, is your purpose.
Yeah, the whole idea of purpose is so funny because we are here to expand and become more sophisticated versions of ourselves, and I think very often we feel very lost in that,
Yeah.
and the Matrix is trying to deliver its version of what that's supposed to be. Your purpose is to be a good consumer. Your
Yes.
purpose is to pay taxes. Your purpose is to give to the church. Your purpose is to support someone else's vision, right?
Right.
And we are trained that way. We are indoctrinated into a matrix where we get into this template of life where our education and our employment and our religious beliefs and our participation in government and all of that are all serving really somebody else. And most humans are cogs in that machine. Most humans are, we talk about the pyramid, most humans are supporting the pyramid. If you look at the pyramid, the people that are supporting it are at the base, and the people that are benefiting from any pyramid are at the top. So the interesting thing is how do you get to the top of the pyramid? Well, you get to the top of the pyramid by appreciating the pyramid, by loving the system and loving the pyramid. The matrix is a very interesting design because as soon as you start demonizing the pyramid, you become part of it.
Yeah.
You get drawn right back into it, and you're part of that support system
I
because you're talking about how wrong it is.
I very much like that analogy that really the pyramid is the matrix. I mean, you can view it in whatever way you want, but as you're saying, demonizing it will only make it worse, will only suck you in farther, will only keep you down at the bottom versus appreciation, which will help you rise to the top.
Yeah.
Appreciation's like helium. It can only lift you.
That radical appreciation. It's funny. There's a boot camper that's been out of boot camp for probably over a year now, and
Uh-huh.
I he went back into the module set, and anytime somebody makes a comment on a module, we get notified. The coaches and I get notified. I
Right?
know you probably saw this,
Yes, I see it.
and this person's going back through their module set now in boot camp, and they're commenting like, "Oh my God, yes, I've been out for a year, and this is so true, and now I'm back in learning more of this," because they have found that that appreciation factor solves everything,
Mhm.
because that's that source. And I did a podcast on Monday. For some reason, I okayed being booked on a 7 a.m. podcast on Monday morning. I'm like, why am I doing this? 9 a.m. okay, 7 a.m. not okay. Why am I doing this?
Oh.
But it was fun. Yeah, once I get into it, it's fun nonetheless. So I am on, and one of the podcast hosts, one of them, there were two hosts, and one of them was so into what the stream was offering,
Mm.
and the other one was not quite there with the radical appreciation yet. And so all the whatabouts came out, and it was an interesting interaction because I know that person was just reflecting what people that are listening are probably thinking.
Right. Right.
How do you appreciate this? How do you appreciate that? And I allow source so much in my channeling that I do clearly understand what radical appreciation of all things, not even radical to them, it's radical to us, appreciation of all things really looks like. That this human experience is just a human experience of contrast, and that our judgment of anything as should not be creates our suffering in it. And it is optional.
Ooh, I like that. You mean my suffering is optional, David?
The suffering is optional, and suffering isn't necessarily bad. It's just the awareness that it's optional, and you can have your suffering experience if you want. And
Mm-hmm.
there are certain things that certainly are most or far more likely to bring a suffering experience, at least initially, than an experience of appreciation. And I think back to the worst of the worst, like someone's child being, taken from them, or that sort of thing. And we have worked with people in those circumstances who
Yeah.
have brought themselves to that place of appreciation and realized how very freeing that is, and understanding that appreciation is deep understanding. When we say appreciation, it's the very best word in my vocabulary to describe what that emotion is,
Mm-hmm.
but it really is such deep understanding that you're no longer judging it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that came forward through the stream. That deep appreciation is just really deep understanding, because I think that makes it a lot easier for I want everybody to understand it. Everybody to start applying that principle. Everybody to realize that it is optional to suffer. I love that. It's optional. And you're in control of whether or not you choose to use that suffering as your growth, or whether you choose to stop the suffering and experience more joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that concept, because that just allows you to rethink everything that's going on in the world all the time.
Yep.
Everything that's going on all the time. And I'm going to do a podcast pretty soon on politics, because I find it so interesting that here in the United States, it's become very, very clear that getting into politics is really very much about getting into this club where you have inside information that allows you to make a lot of money, and not from the job itself, but just from investments and things like that, because
Mm.
you've got the power to sway businesses, and then you know where to invest. And so everyone's following Congress's stock picks now.
Uh,
And the interesting thing that you're seeing in this is that it's not a Democrat or Republican thing. It's all of Congress.
yeah.
It's all of them. And I think that brings you around to the clarity that this picking a side thing is about keeping us in the matrix, because they're all playing the same game.
Yeah.
They're at the top of that pyramid, enriching themselves in this association. Now, I could go into the deep demonization of that and again become part of the pyramid, or
Right.
I can just appreciate that that's the game they're playing, that's the matrix that they're in, and it's working for them, and they figured it out. So that allows me to appreciate the fact that, hey, these politicians have figured out how to get big business contributing to them, so that they can sway business in their direction. They can then invest in that business and get really rich.
They're really rich.
This is how, Congress people that make under $200,000 a year are all multi millionaires, right? If they weren't already when they came in. So that's kind of that's the system that's existing. And I can push against that, and I can demonize it and thus support it, give it power, or I can
Right.
simply look upon it in appreciation. And everyone else that is playing the us against you game, in the United States these days, it's the Trump supporter versus the non-Trump supporter,
Right.
which is what it's become. They don't realize that they are the base of the pyramid and all of that infighting, while the people at the top of the pyramid that are guiding them to be that way are just enriching themselves. They're playing a game. And the pundits are playing a game. The pundits are definitely speaking to a mindset, telling you what you already believe, so that you feel good about yourself, so that you'll tune in, and they're getting rich on the ad dollars. So this is an example of being aware of the matrix and appreciating it without demonizing it.
Yeah. Well, I
Because what happens is that people, we have a layer of the pyramid where people are playing, they're participating in the game by letting themselves be divided.
yeah,
Trump is a savior. Everyone that's not for Trump should be, whatever, eliminated from the country. Or people that love Trump are idiots, and they, that whole, all of that infighting. That's the base of the pyramid. Then you've got another layer of the pyramid that's like, oh, that's all BS. You shouldn't be fighting with each other. These people are all crooks. We need to do away with them, and we need to stop the system. And we need to change it. It's all wrong and it's all evil. Well, you're in the middle of the pyramid. And the
right.
top of the pyramid are the ones that are just like, yeah, keep fighting, keep hating us, keep fighting each other. It's all good because I'm at the top of the pyramid enjoying all of it because it's boosting me up. It's putting dollars in my pocket. It's giving me power. I'm getting everything that I want out of this.
Yeah,
They are appreciative of the game.
I think that's really interesting because I know if you're at the base of the pyramid and you start thinking that you don't want to be at the base of the pyramid at all, I believe one of the first thoughts that comes up, and this might be applicable to anything, is that, oh, I have no power. It's just me. I have no power to change anything. But you do. I love the example of like organic food. If you want more organic food, you buy organic food. People, oh, it's expensive, but they complain about not having organic produce. Well, if you put your money where your mouth is, you're going to perpetuate that energy. Those people will be able to afford to make more, grow more organic food. It's the same thing with politics. Being
Yeah,
at the base of the pyramid.
consumers do have power. I mean, I'm a car person, and I see the consumer attitude toward electric cars away from internal combustion, gasoline powered cars or diesel powered cars. That's completely changed the auto industry.
It has.
The entire industry is now going electric, and governments are starting to mandate that. And it's consumer driven. It's totally consumer driven. Now, in my opinion, I think they're kind of kicking the curb down the line a bit because where's the electricity coming from that's going to power all these cars?
Oh, well,
We're going
global.
to burn some coal so you feel better about yourself. We're going to burn more coal to fuel your electric car. Unless you have a clean energy source,
Right.
there's a bit of deception happening there too. It's another pyramid. It's another matrix.
It is. It
But
is.
the auto industry sees that consumerism is moving toward less pollution from the tailpipe, and a huge part of it is the cars are faster. People love speed, and the
Yes.
electric cars are a lot faster. And we're going to give consumers what they want: these electric plug-in vehicles.
They even now have some electric trucks that I've seen in different campgrounds,
Oh yeah,
and they're odd looking for some reason. They just don't.
there's some odd electric trucks, yeah, and they're expensive. A lot of them are expensive.
Yeah,
Really, over $100,000 for a pickup truck
yeah.
is not unusual. It's not unusual. So now we're in a matrix where there are tons of people, waiting years for $100,000 plus pickup truck.
Yeah, yeah. So again, your dollars, your energy as a singular entity person does make a difference. It makes a huge difference. I don't
Yeah,
think again that's where that oh, who am I, self-worth, oh, it's just little old me and my ideas. It's like, come on, choose what you want, choose your joy, choose where you want your energy to go so that you can perpetuate those things that you love, whatever that is.
yeah. Well, and the basis of all this is just appreciation of the system. Just standing back and viewing. Using the auto industry as an example, viewing all of it just with appreciation. This is where humanity is shifting to. Personally, I'm really getting into, now that I'm an old fart, I want the older cars. I want the 80s.
Yes.
There are these people out there that are, preserving these cars from the 80s because 80s was kind of the peak of car manufacturing as craftsmen. And they've moved now to technology. So there's this company called Singer, and they take old Porsches from the 80s and they reimagine them and make them modernized, but they're still not like a modern car. And they're like $500,000.
Remember those cool old bathtub Porsches? I wanted one of those so bad. It looked like a rolling bathtub. It was nothing
That's
fancy.
a 914. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
14 is older than
Those are very rare, actually. Those
those are
didn't
rare now.
survive so much. They're very rare, and they're great cars. Porsche makes a great car. So I want that. I don't want the latest cutting edge technology electric car. That's how I know I'm old, because I'm like, "Ah, I don't care about the technology. I don't care how fast you are from the red line. I'm not racing anybody. I want my analog, more analog type car.
Yeah,
My
you
the
want quality
technology.
over quantity, right? It's
Yeah,
it's going back to your analog versus digital sound. It's quality. There's depth. There's nuances, and there's color in that sound versus digital, which is very crisp and clear and monotone.
yeah. Yeah, I grew up. My father always had a turntable and records.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I grew up listening to vinyl music, and I've never done that as an adult. But I think maybe as I get older, maybe I'll go back to that. I'm kind of reverting back. I want a record player. I want an analog car.
I think that's
Some of those things
funny.
I got in my house doesn't work so well. Half the time it's out, or the speakers go out and stuff like that. It's convenient because you can buy a speaker, you plug it in, and you've got music anywhere. And when it
Right?
works, it's pretty good. But very often it doesn't work. And when I had a wired stereo system with wired speakers, it always worked.
Remember, you can make your whole house just bum, bum.
Yeah, yeah, you can't do that with a Sonos for
You
sure.
can't
We
now.
digress, but it's all an appreciation of all that is.
Appreciation. Well, appreciation of the old times. I think it's interesting to notice the curve, though. As we're young, we like to play, we like to enjoy things. Get dirty in the mud, and you kind of get caught up in the matrix, and you start buying consumerism, but you still enjoy fine cars, stereos, good food, basic comfort foods. And as we get older, the matrix shifts more, and we get into the futuristic aspects of things, and like technology. And we've had, and you and I, especially, because that's how our lives really have placed us in that point where technology just started. We had the first microwave on our block. Go figure, right? Wireless phones, like all that stuff ramped up. And then now you and I, because I'm the same way, I want to go back to all those things that brought me great joy as a youngster, as a child.
Yeah,
Record
I
players.
think we go full circle, and I do believe that we are born up to speed with the time that we project it to. The stream has said that. I totally get that.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Somebody born today isn't going to look at on TikTok every once in a while. I'll see these videos from the 1980s, like somebody took a home movie of a dance or something from the 80s. I'm like, I remember that. In fact, I just sent you a very cool TikTok this morning.
Oh, look.
It's sounds from your childhood, and it's all these. It's like a VHS tape going in. It's a cassette tape clicking. It's not music or anything. It's just the sound of the mechanics
The
of the
rotary
70s and
phone.
80s. And I guess that's my algorithm, as they know, oh, this is old fart TikTok. Here, let's show him that video.
That's
And
hilarious.
it's really a cool. I'm like, oh my god, I haven't heard. What is that viewfinder thing that had the
Yeah,
carousel?
yeah, yeah.
What was that thing called?
It'll come to me like 3 in the morning. I'll text you.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot what that was called. I had it when I was a little kid, but you had that round disc
Yeah, yeah.
photos, and you
The
stick it
red.
in the little thing you put up to your head, and you click
Yeah.
it. Well, the sound of that, the sound of an Etch a Sketch, all of those things. I'm like, wow, I never did think about it as the sound of a TV, turning on a TV and having the snow.
Yeah.
And clicking the
Oh,
channels through the channels that were off air. I'm like,
that's
I didn't think about it. I haven't heard these sounds in years. It's a very cool TikTok.
awesome.
Whoever
I
thought to do that, brilliant. It's a cool TikTok. So I shared that with you so you can watch that.
got good.
But
Yeah,
we're born up to speed with the time that we project into. So
yeah,
I look back at the 80s and think, gosh, the 70s and 80s to me were just like the peak of humanity. The coolest things. Of course, there was contrast or problems in the 70s and 80s,
oh,
but
yeah.
when we're no longer in that vibration, I think we can choose to dial up the positive or the negative of it. I'm going to dial up the positive of the 70s and 80s. What a cool time for fashion and style and music, and just everything was just so interesting for me, because
Yeah,
that was my developmental period. My childhood
yeah,
and my teen years were 70s and 80s. And I think somebody born, in the 90s isn't going to view it that way. They're going to view it the way I viewed the 1950s, was like, ooh, what the hell is going on there? What's that all about? I didn't appreciate the 50s. The only thing I appreciate about the 50s was the movie Grease, because it was just so well done that I think anyone can relate to Grease, because it's like the same problems in a different era,
Yeah.
and it brought out the charm of the 50s, I think. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't look at it with nostalgia, because I didn't experience it in this lifetime firsthand. So it's just history. And the
Right.
further you go back, the more it's interesting to me. But it's just so different than my experience that I really have passion for the 70s and 80s. Well, somebody born after that, I'm sure, doesn't view it that way. I'm sure people
Yeah.
born today think this is a much better time than then. How in the world do you live without a device in your hand? How in the world are you living without Zoom technology and all of these things?
It's interesting because watching, even at the beginning of our trip here on the PCT hike, Andrew and I had done the John Muir Trail, which is just a mere, like 285 miles. But we did it at what, 4 years ago. So the infrastructure that's in place now for cell phone reception was not back then. When you're in this middle of the Sierras, you have no connection to anything. Um, we had shitty GPS tracking devices, and it really wasn't even a tracker. It was just something that you could send a signal out if you needed an SOS. We worked off compasses and maps. Now everybody's got their phone. They can actually text from a majority of the places that they are. They can go on to the app. The app will track you from a GPS point and will show you where you are on the trail, how far it is from point B to point A, where the next water carrier is. Like, it's amazing how much technology has enabled people to be out in the backcountry in a totally different way than he and I had been previously. And so I remember reflecting when in the beginning about, oh, these kids are so spoiled. They got it so easy. They don't know really what backpacking is, right? But at the same time, I greatly appreciate the technology because I can now track my husband when he's out there.
Yeah,
When he needs something, we can communicate within 20 minutes. Sometimes with the trees here, you got to wait till the satellite comes back around because the tree cover is so dense. But down in California, even in most of Oregon, it was really easy to communicate in a nanosecond. And
yeah.
he's 50 miles out in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere.
well, I love that we can do this. Have
Oh,
jump on, and I can. We had a live. We had somebody from Europe on. We had Carrie and
yes.
Belize on, and I'm on. I'll have Matt on from Australia. I do love that we have this technology now. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like I want to enjoy the best of both worlds. I want to have my analog music and my analog car in the garage, to enjoy the old way of things, but also have the tools of the new way. Because I just did a post this morning here in Patreon about the importance of community, and
Mhm.
jumping on and talking on Zoom and having these lives and doing all of this stuff, because we get to talk about this Tya stuff that we understand, and there aren't a whole lot of people out there that really get it.
Nope. Not yet. Come on and join us. Check it out. It's fun. We're enjoying ourselves.
It's a lovely way to live life. It really
It
is.
really
It really
is.
is.
It's a much more, I don't know. Yeah, it's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah,
5 years ago, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for inner peace. I was looking for inner understanding. I was looking for the connection to source that wouldn't waver. Taya delivers on all of the above. But you got to do the work.
you got to do the work.
Got to do the
Well,
work.
it is work. Unraveling the matrix is what we're doing, and it's funny. I met with an ex yesterday who was with me when I wrote the first book, and I said something about, well, I finally finished the time. He goes, oh, you said that 2 years ago. And I said, I know. I thought I was finished with it 2 years ago, but I was never guided to really publish it. And now I know why, because there was this whole other piece waiting for me to be ready to
Yeah.
deliver, which is all of this matrix, and that once all of those teachings came from the stream, that's when I felt like, okay, their message is really not finished, but complete.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're still flowing. I channeled yesterday. I've done channeling. I'm just not doing it all the time like I used to, because they have made it clear that we've answered all your questions. Now go and work together to create this
Hmm.
for yourselves and allow it to be discovered by other people.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
that's if you so choose. I love that. If you're choosing this path, this is what it looks like next. Not channeling all the time for entertainment purposes. What does the stream think
yeah.
about this? What does the stream think about that? The stream's response to everything is appreciation, and they've delivered the teaching of the pyramids. They've delivered the teachings of the matrix. They've delivered the teachings of radical appreciation, of polarity, of vibrational flow. I haven't heard this package of teachings from anywhere else. It may be out there, I don't know. But I choose to only go inward with it because it just keeps blossoming and expanding. But now I do feel like their message is whole, and it took 5 years of sharing it to get all of it. And now I feel like, okay, we've got all of it. What are we doing with it? And the book has all of it contained in it now. That's what I've spent this last year doing, is going back and rewriting the book with this complete message now.
Right.
And once the book comes out, I don't know what happens next. It's whatever we create, whatever we allow to unfold next. But I'll channel again. I have channeled, since they've sort of backed off a little bit. It's there. It's always there. But we don't need to always dial them up. It
Well, it's
becomes a crutch. And we're here
it,
to create, not to be entertained by the stream.
yeah, and that's for me, that's where the reverence of knowing that source, infinite source, is not it is not a vaudeville show. It's not an act. It's not, it is
Yeah.
sacred. It is
Well, I'll tell you, gosh, we're 48 minutes into this broadcast, so whoever sticks around and watches was going to get this interesting little tidbit. So in the channel yesterday, I noticed that when I channel now, I will go into the vibe that allows that kind of trance-like state. But
mm,
once I get going now, it's blended with me.
yeah.
It's very blended these days.
Mm,
And it's not that complete trance like it used to be. And I know people like that, but that becomes sort of an addiction. And not to criticize Abraham and Abraham folks, but I see that what is happening there is sort of an addiction to the Abraham message as almost like an entertainment piece,
yeah.
that I need to go and be in the presence of source, but we're always in the presence of source.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
I need to go hear the answers from Abraham, even though Abraham gosh, how long have Abraham's been going for like 30 years, right?
yes.
It's the 80s. And yeah, over 30 years probably at this
Hmm.
point. I think it's
Hmm.
like 1988 when they first did those tapes. So
I
we're
think
over
so.
30 years. So in 30 years, I know how simple the universe really is. Abraham has answered everything over and over and over and over again for 30 years. And they're in this loop. And that's where they've created their message is this loop that it's every Saturday they're somewhere getting together in person. I think it's the community aspect that people like.
Yes. And oh my
I
God, you
think
just
they want to go be in the presence of like thinkers. I get that. I do get that.
you answered a huge question for me when you're saying that Abraham's a loop. They talk about the vortex all the time. So what is that loop creating? A vortex?
Well, again, we're not criticizing Abraham. We're
No, it's
just
just interesting.
appreciating it because we're understanding it deeply. That my intention was for the stream not to be the next Abraham or another Abraham. I found out when I started channeling, I started meeting all these other people that channel. I don't now, but in the beginning I did. It's so funny now. We're so far out there that I just don't.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I started meeting all these other people. People were contacting me, and I channel too. And I kept hearing this recurring thing of I'm the next Abraham. And the stream was very clear. There's not going to be another Abraham. Abraham is Abraham. That message is of source, and it is what it is, and it's channeled through Esther. And Esther keeps it contained in this space that was the creation of she and her husband Jerry. And it
Right.
works. It's created a pyramid for her that works. And I was guided to not copy that or follow that. In the very beginning, I think it was a lot like that because I was so inspired by it. And a lot of people accused me of trying to copy and rip off Abraham. And that's when I quit listening to Abraham. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want the stream to become its own thing. Well, here we are 5 years later, and I can say I feel very good that the stream is its own thing. It's its
Well, I
own
think
unique thing.
the stream's message has been unique from Abraham because it's all along, it has been, I'm not your source. The message coming through is not source for you. You are your own source. You are your own piece of source. We are not separate. The rope intertwining analogy that was used over and over and over again. I find that is the lingo, that message, that energy is what separates the stream from Abraham's message. Abraham's, like you're saying, it's something to go to connect to source. Someone like a synagogue, a church,
Yeah.
yoga studio, whatever you feel like connects you to your source. Abraham, the stream encourages us to find our own connection, to find our own unique and individual connection, to answer our own questions, to look deeply inside of ourselves and to really inquire, what is going on here for me? What do I want to learn in my life? And how will that help me to expand as an individual here on the planet, as a human, and as a soul? And that's the huge difference for me. And
Well,
why
Matt
or
said, what
go
you're
ahead.
saying, Matt said the other
Yeah,
day,
yeah,
that religion and even spirituality are seeking to tell you what to think, where
yeah,
Tya and Stream are only teaching you how to think
how to think. Mhm.
and guiding you back inward on an inward journey and giving you the tools to navigate that inward journey.
Yeah. So did we answer our question of the day or our topic?
I think so.
Well,
We
shall
got
we?
way off topic. We talked about cars and politics and religion, as you and I do
Yeah.
for an audience. Hi, Cheryl. We do see you out there, by the way.
Thank you for hanging on. I hope you're still around, Cheryl. But yeah, well, this goes right back to what we're talking about in the beginning. When you wake up in the morning, there's a possibility that your conscious mind and your subconscious mind have blended or separated or mutated in some way to allow the matrix thinking to slip back in.
Yeah, depending on vibrational flow, you could wake up in source connection or you could wake up
Right,
in the matrix. Yeah.
right. So bringing it right back around.
Well, it's interesting that this is our topic because I wasn't thinking about that at, it's 7:12 this morning when I finally woke up.
Right, right.
But I woke up and the first thing I thought when I sat up in bed was, there's that plant. I can choose to be, upset, that plant's still there and, I want that fixed. I want that changed. Or I can simply appreciate the
Right.
beautiful house that surrounds the plant and the beautiful flowers the plant can put out, because we are going to take those out. And then that bird of paradise flower this beautiful flower is going to be gone.
Well,
Of course it's like this really overgrown. Well, you saw it when you were here. It's like 5-6 feet tall and,
those
5 feet wide and
great.
5 feet diameter. Huge, 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 huge.
That's
But it's
probably,
all burned and it doesn't look great right now. So yeah, I
probably a
got to choose.
30-year-old plant. Oh, hello,
Yeah.
Mr. Bumblebee. That would transplant really well. Even if you broke it up, you could put it in that back area of your yard with where it's more shaded, and those would still.
Maybe somebody else can adopt it and
Yeah,
put it. I
put
don't
it
know.
on
I
tape.
just don't think the desert is the place for those. If you
Yeah,
were around, I'd say, hey, take it back to Woodland Hills. Put
that's
it
pretty
here.
much the desert too now.
What's that?
That's pretty much the desert too now.
Is
It's
it?
so
Is it more deserty there now?
yeah. Well, Woodland Hills is one of the hotter areas of the San Fernando Valley. It's
Yeah.
historically one of the hotter areas. So yeah, probably not quite as hot as you. We're probably about 10 degrees below.
Yeah, I am ready for I'm ready for a break in the temperatures for sure. For
You need
sure.
to take a little vacation.
At the moment, that's a little difficult just
I
with everything
know.
going on here, but we'll see. Maybe a little Santa Barbara trip would be lovely.
Oh, there you go.
I definitely am missing Santa
Oh,
Barbara.
yeah, me too. Actually, I'm missing the ocean. I'm actually missing. I miss the ocean, even though I've been around a lot of bodies of waters. Columbia River's running right, probably not less than a half mile from me here. That's been really great. Seeing the locks go up and down and all the water rushing around. It's very cool. But I miss the lulling sound of the waves. That just
Yeah, I want to live on the water again. I lived on top of the water, literally in San Francisco, up in
yeah,
Marin. That place was literally we were built out over the water. It was almost like a houseboat. It was
that's
very
cool.
cool, and I only lived there for a year. But it was I love that experience, and I do love the
Yeah,
water. And Michael wants to live on the water too, so that's our thing. Is somewhere in the world we want to live on the water
yeah,
next.
that's a good
Next.
idea.
Right now, we need to finish the house that we have in the desert. We have the water in the swimming pool out back. That's about it. Well, I want to thank everybody that takes the time. Thank you for joining live, and
Yes,
thank you all of you who watch in the future and hung around for a whole hour with us. It was a lot of
yes,
fun.
it was fun always.
And until next time, and I will be on. Gosh, I will be on tomorrow night for Claim Your Power. We'll do a panel again, so anybody that wants to join is there's an open invitation to join that. And then Sunday morning for Sunday Soul Food yet again this
There
Sunday
you
at 9
go.
p.m. Pacific. So I hope to see everybody on those as well. And thank you, Stacy, for being the co-host today.
Thanks for having me, David. Have a great day.